Right, so following on from last week's update, I'll try and keep you as fresh as I can with the system. You're not usually too far behind from real time. Straight off the bat, I'll let you know that I lost 2 of the acros. Really 2.5, because one that was doing real good took a long time for me to get it to start growing, but it's reseeded real bad. A couple of them have just reseeded, but I have actually lost 2 of them. To be honest with you, I'm lucky that I didn't lose all of my acros. When I got my phosphorus reader from Hannah Checker, which I'll do a independent video on, with the chart, conversion charts and all that sort of shit. Testing this daily now for phosphate, and it was way higher than I even remotely thought it would be. Way higher. And this is after months of me tackling it without knowing those kind of numbers anyway. I mean, I knew I can only go vaguely off, you know, I do a Triton analysis every so often. Again, I'll put my most recent one, which isn't super applicable now, but just so you can get an idea of what was going on. I'll put it in the link on the description of this video, so you can have a look if you're interested. So I knew they're high. Couldn't believe how high they actually were. I'm surprised anything based on what the phosphates were. I'm surprised any of the certainly the SPS. Surprised any of them are still going. I really am. It must have been that much of a gradual build up that I don't even know. I don't even know how they have survived, to be honest. I know you can run corals with higher phosphates than people realise, but you know, this is ridiculous what I was getting. I've got it down to 21 as of last night on the phosphorus checker. That works out at about 0.06 or something like that. Ideally, I think we like to try and get it down to about 0.02 parts per million. The phosphorus reader is in parts per billion, so you have to convert that. There is a chart that exists out there that makes life a lot easier if you can't just do it. However, you know. So I did come right down on my phosphates anyway. I think I've figured that out. I do change me clean my skimmer out really regularly, more regular than you should have to. Algae reactor is like a juggernaut, man. It's just constant fighting through it, constantly growing, constantly harvesting. Once a week I'm emptying the entire thing, you know, almost completely, and it's, you know, filled back up and all the rest of it. And I've also got the system back on the heroin. Now, if you remember, for quite a long time I did run Nopox by Red Sea, NO3PO4X, which will bring down your nitrates and your phosphates over time. It's not a miracle cure, it's not an instant cure, it's a gradual thing. But I really wanted to wean the system off it. I'm also on, I'm not on Nopox now, but I'm also on Roaphos and Red Sea's carbon. Marine spec, reef spec, whatever it is, carbon. Anyway, so I got off the Nopox months ago now, once I ran out, I lowered the dose right down, and once I ran out, I was like, okay, we don't need any more of that. What can I say what happened? We lost Miguel, which was this fish here. So he died, but I took him out pretty quick. Can you hear him? They're going fucking mental. Anyway, because everything was growing awesome. So even with my maybe not quite so accurate phosphate tests, I know my phosphates were coming down, because I had a long while ago now browned out acros, which is usually down to like high phosphates, and that usually is your #1 reason. But for instance, on my Pikachu coral, got it right yellow again, real nice and bright, how it was when I initially got it. And then I don't think it's any one thing that made them fucking slammed back up. I think it was a compilation of lots of other things that have caused something to go wrong with this system. I'm only hoping that there's not something I've still currently missed. So I've scoured the system, I've changed a few things, which we'll get onto in a sec, but I really hope I still haven't missed some vital piece. So as I said, I'm back on the heroin, and by heroin I mean carbon dosing. I'm back on the hard stuff. Not no-pox though. I've gone with Quantum's fucking whatever it's called, their phosphate reducer basically. It's meant to bind the phosphates before they really become phosphates or something like that. You need to be running some sort of mechanical filtration from what I understand if you're going to run that stuff. I use just filter floss, but you don't want to be using that stuff on nothing. I also know that if you're overdosing you get a bit of a white film on the glass, but I'm dosing a very, very low amount. I'm dosing 1 ml of that a day. Which brings me on to my next subject. It was never just a matter of phosphates with this tank. It was, I've always had this problem with a few elements: potassium, strontium, boron and iodine. I rely on ICP tests for all of those, and especially iodine, which is potentially, I don't know whether it's probably the most important one I'm finding for me. It's having the most effect for me out of the four, and that's one that you can't test with standard test kits. I think there is a company that have a standard test kit out there for iodine, but I think it's bullshit. I thought it was bullshit, and then I scoured the internet to find out whether it really was bullshit, and it turns out it's probably leaning towards being bollocks. I got my hopes up with Hannah Checker again. They've got an iodine checker. Upon further research again, found out that it was sort of really for freshwater, doesn't do salt water. So I mean, fucking hell, can someone bring out a decent iodine test? It'd be magical. You're relying on ICP tests. You're starting to spend quite a bit of money over the course of a year if you're trying to muscle down on your iodine. So your iodine's meant to be like around 30 parts per billion, I think. I'm not sure. It might be parts per million. I can't really remember. Don't quote me on that. Mine are always 0, even with dosing. I was dosing 2 ml a week of straight iodine from Triton. It's about 20 quid, I think, 25 quid maybe, and you get 100 ml. I've been dosing that much for ages. It started to work. I had good results initially, and I just stuck to 2 ml. So chances are what it was at the beginning is probably over 30, real good. Maybe, I don't know what it was, could be around 50 or something, I don't know. And then as I started adding more acro, sucking that shit up the second it goes in there, and I hadn't been correcting my doses, so I'd always get a Triton test back, says do this, this and this. I'd always do it. In terms of iodine, it's not worked out for me, but you know, that's the best we've got, ICP test for iodine, so I mean, I'll just keep doing it. Right now I'm dosing for iodine daily, again, 1 ml. I'm just going to keep testing that. It's not just iodine in one bottle, it's a few different things, so I know for a fact that the iodine will be a lesser value in there than it would be if you were dosing straight iodine for 1 ml a day. You'd soon catch up with, well, you'd probably fuck it up, because then you'd probably be dosing too much. So 1 ml a day iodine, and it's a few other things. It might be like boron or something, I don't know. And I managed to get the slow tissue necrosis, receding, whatever, to halt. Seems to have halted, touch wood. So that's where we are now. Lost 2, could have lost 7. Glad I didn't. I'm lucky I didn't. I added the pump, so I've got all the pumps I wanted now, so I'm happy with that. If I ever get to this stage where I've got all these big corals, I know my flow will you know, I don't think we need to worry anything about any problem with flow. I'm really hoping that trying to really crank down on iodine, locking down my phosphates for good. I think on this tank I'm not gonna bother worrying about, oh, I need to get it off, as I call it, heroin, I need to get it off the heroin, or I need to do this or that. I think I'm just gonna let this tank muscle through things, and I'm not gonna try and train it out of things or anything like that. I think if it needs something, it's gonna have it. Then I think I'm creating a more difficult system that I really need at the minute. I still want it to be all of acros and all that sort of stuff. I'd love clams and things like that, so based on that, I don't think I need to be making it more difficult than it will be. But yeah, like I say, I hope I'm sort of down to my last hurdle. You're always going to have little things here and there, but I'm really hoping that I'll crank down on some of the bigger picture. Looking beyond acro, I've had real good growth on everything. Not awesome colour on the LPS. Could have better colour, that's fair enough, but you know, it's just another indicator of phosphates or whatever. So my acros, I'm getting out of the brown stage and gone into the green stage. If any of you know that that's a thing, you get very green acros and then you get very brown acros and stuff like that. So I'm trying to, well, I mean, we'll just see when I get it down to about 7 parts per billion, which is about 0.02 parts per million, whatever, 10 nitrates, thereabouts. We'll see what kind of colour we have then. Maybe our growth will go ape shit. Everything else is falling in line. These are the last things now. I've never had a problem with anything else, touch wood. Always had the bullshit with phosphates. And in these microelements, I just didn't take them as seriously as I should have done. And this is just down to acros, but like I say, this was intended to be really focused on SPS, and sort of my own personal focus was being able to keep acropora successfully, so that's what my angle is. As the phosphates are coming down now, I'm trying to not take out algae too manually, because I want to see it die. As in, I want to see the evidence, do you know what I mean? I want to see it peeling back and stuff like that. And I can say that we are actually at the point where I'm seeing a lot of it just peeling off. And I found out as well, let me know if you guys find this, that if you happen to have a bit of an algae deal, my purple tank seems more interested in it. He goes kind of mad on it actually when it's not dead, but it's just in that knackered state when it's on its way out. Same with my snails, they all seem to go real mad for it when it's just in that state. Like, comment, subscribe. Any questions, please ask. Anything to do with this system, let me know. Got any queries, thoughts, something I could add, something I'm fucking up and I haven't realised yet, let us know, honestly. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, keep it wet. See you on the next one.